Good morning, y'all. Happy Wednesday. Good to see you back. Today we are going to go ahead and read another poem, as we've been doing every morning. And then actually yesterday we finished our read aloud, so we just have 2 days to basically finish it up and talk about some things with our read aloud. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead first and read the poem. And then remember, you can stop it and do your response. There's also a question today. And it is, let me get it. The question that you'll be answering today is, what feeling does the author create in this poem? Okay. And then you have to explain how you know. So just make sure that you're thinking about that as I read. And again, you can stop it and go back and rewatch it to help you answer your question. We are reading again from My Name is Jorge on Both Sides of the River. These are poems in English and Spanish. I will do English first and then Spanish. Okay, so this is called Invisible. If I stay very still and breathe very quietly, the magic happens. I disappear, and no one sees me, and no one hears me, and no one even thinks about me. And the teacher won't call on me. It's very safe being invisible. I'm perfect. I can't make mistakes. At least nobody sees them, so nobody laughs. Okay, so you're just thinking about what is the feeling that the author is creating in this poem, or the poet. Okay, so this is now in Spanish. Se llama Invisible. Si me quedo quieto y respiro sin hacer ruido, empieza la magia. Desaparezco y nadie me ve y nadie me oye y nadie piensa en mí y la maestra no me llama. Uno se siente seguro estando invisible. Estoy perfecto. No puedo cometer errores. Por lo menos nadie los ve y así nadie se ríe de mí. Okay. So you can go ahead and stop it there. Okay. I let them out. You can come back in. Sorry, we have a dog, a stray dog that has wandered into our backyard today. And my dogs are losing their mind right now. So a lot of fun stuff going on. I'm going to go ahead and put them somewhere so they don't interrupt. Okay, so we've had a few things, a few surprises in the last couple days while we were reading. That's fine. Okay, so that was the poem. Go ahead and do your response. Para el poema, si hay una pregunta en el documento en Google, so van a responder la pregunta, ¿cuál sentimiento está creando el poeta en este poema? Okay, so we're going to go ahead now and move on to our read aloud. We finished our book yesterday. Yay! We read a whole entire chapter book together. I hope that you really enjoyed it. I'm not a big fantasy reader, or I don't like watching really fantasy movies, but this one was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. And I think it was because of the lesson or the message that you get, because you can really, it relates to everybody in everybody's lives. And we're going to talk about the theme in the lesson tomorrow. Today, I wanted to talk to you about something that you will see when you go into your Google Doc. There. Okay, and our learning target today, let me find it, here it is I can identify character archetypes in fantasy to help me make predictions, inferences, and interpretations about stories. Okay, so basically an archetype reminds me of a stereotype. I don't know if you've heard the word stereotype, but an archetype is the typical character that appears in fantasy. Okay, and if you look in your Google Doc, they are listed there, and it gives you the character from The Thief of Always, which would fit that archetype. So for example, and this is not just in fantasy, but a lot of other genres as well, there's always the hero. Okay, so who do you think would be? I'm going to read the definition of what a hero is, and I want you to think in this story who would be the hero. And I use the word hero a couple of times throughout the lessons. Okay, so it says the hero is a good character who is often lonely and would rather not have to be a hero. The hero has to complete his or her quest and usually wins. Okay, so we want to think about our characters. Who was on the quest or journey? Who kind of saved other people? Who defeated another character? And he won. I mean, he got in the end what he wanted and he ended up happy. Okay, so Harvey, because it tells you on your sheet, he would be considered the hero in this story. Okay, the next archetype would be the villain, and I'm sure you're very familiar with this word. So the villain is a bad character who's often surrounded by other characters that he or she is mean to and wants to be in charge of everything, and our villain usually loses. So I'm going to give you a second to think about our story, The Thief of Always. Who would be the villain in our story? Okay, so Mr. Hood. I'm sure you came to that conclusion on your own, but he was in charge of the house. He was the very powerful one. He was evil. And he did have some other characters who could be considered villains with him, but we might question, would they have been that mean and evil to others if they were not under his control? Who knows? Okay, so we could have some smaller villains, but then we have the big guy who was the main villain. Good. And it says that he's in charge of everything. So he controlled all those people that were in his house. He held all those prisoners, all the children, even Mrs. Griffin. And it said he usually loses. So in the end, he was the one that was defeated. And all his people, actually, that worked for him were defeated as well by Harvey. Okay. The wise person. This character, this archetype, is a very smart character who usually helps the hero by teaching him or her. Okay, so the hero does have, a character that maybe tries to help them, the wise character. Any guesses? Okay, so this would be Mrs. Griffin. Okay, she was kind of there for Harvey, kind of the voice of reason, I guess you could say. Maybe like even a mother figure when he was in the house of Mr. Hood. So she's like that wise character. And if you look at other fantasy stories and movies, there will be that wise character that's kind of like the voice of reason for this hero that is going on their quest. Okay, and the last archetype that we're going to look at and think about are the companions or friends. Okay, so these are the people who are friends with the hero or the villain. They mostly stick to the hero or villain. However, some of them can be false friends. Okay, so this is kind of what I was referring to when we were talking about the villain. These are kind of the companions or the people that are always with the villain. And then there's people that are always with the hero. So they're friends. And I like the part where it says that sometimes they can be false friends, because if you remember into our story, we did have a part where Harvey was questioning his friendship with Wendell. When Wendell was faced with a difficult decision, he kind of put Harvey out there to this creature like, oh no, you don't want to eat me, you want to eat Harvey. Okay, so go ahead and think who would be the major companions or friends of our hero and villain in this story. Okay, so there were a few. I'm just going to list some. We'll start with Harvey. He was the hero. So who would you think that Harvey's major companions were? Wendell, of course. Okay, he was one of the first people that he met, and the person he really, really deeply cared about, Lulu. Okay, so he had she even came back to help him in the end. So those were his companions or friends. And then Rictus, I was kind of, unsure about Rictus. He went both ways. He did seem to be sometimes friends to Harvey, but we might say that he was a false friend to Harvey. He worked for Hood, so he was part of the evil in the dark magic in the house. Okay, so those are the called archetypes, which are typical characters, stereotypical characters that you will find normally in the genre of fantasy. So there will always be a hero. There will always be a villain. There usually will be that wise person that is helping the hero. And then we'll have, the companions or friends of the hero and villain, kind of their company that they keep. I thought that was really interesting because I never learned that before. I mean, obviously, you look at fantasy or you read fantasy and you watch fantasy and you can kind of look at the character traits of your characters. Oh, this is the guy who's going to win. Oh, this is the guy that's bad. But I never went through and identified them clearly in a book. So I really like that one. So in your doc, you also have it in Spanish. So si les explican los arquetipos en español en el Google Doc. El héroe, el villano, la persona sabia y los compañeros o amigos del héroe y villano. Okay, so this is what you are going to do on your own today independently. You're going to independently read and identify a character archetype that is in your book. Write the character's name, which archetype you believe that they are, and describe what they do or say in the story that makes you think that they are that archetype. For example, we did Harvey is the hero. And then I would explain using the definition of a hero. Harvey was basically a good character. He was lonely at the beginning of the story. He was on a quest or journey in a new place. He went through some difficulties and overcame those difficulties. He saved and overcame evil in the end. Therefore, he won and was reunited with his family. Okay, so you only have to do one archetype. So you can pick either the hero, the villain, the wise person, or the friends. That is up to you. Okay, so again, we finished our book yesterday, so we're just tying up some loose ends and doing a couple skills here. Today we're doing archetypes. Tomorrow we're going to really focus on the overall universal theme of the book. And then next week we're going to start a new one of my favorites. Okay, so yep, short and sweet today. Hope you guys have a great Wednesday. Work hard, stay focused, read. Take care of yourselves, be safe. I miss you. Peace out.